Alright, hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Casey, and today's reading I wanted it to be all about how to raise your vibration. And I want to clarify that what I think of necessarily when I think of somebody with a high vibration, I think of somebody that's not only happy, but has a very positive outlook on life. Even if your current circumstances or the things around you aren't necessarily positive, you yourself are still able to create a sense of peace, a sense of happiness, a sense of purpose, a feeling of like you're in flow with the universe. And so today I not only want to show you like what are some habits that will help raise your vibration, what are some things that are hindering your vibration, but also what perspective shifts or mindset shifts will help you have a more positive outlook on life that will just make you radiate a happier, more peaceful energy to those around you and also within yourself. So that's what I mean by like how to raise your vibration. So that's what we're going to be looking at in today's reading. So today I have 3 different piles for you to choose from. We have pile 1 with the Phoenix card and the Malachite. Pile 2 with the Bee card and the, I think that's Angelite or Angel something. Yeah. I think it's Angelite. And then pile 3 with the Starfish card and the blue Dumortierite. So go ahead and pause, figure out which reading you feel most drawn to. I'll leave timestamps down in the description box below so you can quickly jump to whichever reading that you want to listen to. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, pile 1. If you chose the Malachite and the Phoenix card, then this is the reading for you. I want to start off by saying that you have some very heavy emotions going on. I feel like you are in desperate need of raising your vibration. I feel like there's just this feeling of deep emptiness and like a feeling of darkness around your heart. And not even in like a wailing, screaming, crying every day kind of pain, but just in a like, okay, I'm up. What needs to get done today? Like what's on the agenda just so I can get through this day so that I can just lay in bed again, so I can just restart. And it feels like you're trudging through life right now. And I'm getting this, okay, so there's this I don't know if you would call it like an analogy or an anecdote, but it's been kind of like bopping around in my head for a while for the past few days, and I feel drawn to tell you about it. And I'm kind of gonna butcher this, but I saw it in a TED Talk like half a year ago, and it really resonated with me. And it was about, and I'm not diagnosing you at all. This is just me speaking based on the cards that I'm seeing here. Of course, get professional advice. But the TED Talk was about like how the West deals with depression versus how the East deals with depression. And it was this guy talking about like, he brought up the story of this man who lived in like India or something. And the man, you know, he worked for a living to support his family, and then one day there was an accident and he lost his arm or he lost his leg or something like that. And he fell into a depression, rightfully so, because, you know, he could no longer work. In the West, we would treat his symptoms. We would say, here are some antidepressants, and this will make you stop feeling depression. But what they would do in the East is not only would he have his community rally around him, but instead of depressants, they gave him a cow. And that kind of made the audience laugh, like, haha, like a cow instead of antidepressants. But the moral of the story was, because he lost his livelihood, because he lost his way of working, because he lost his way to make money, instead of just throwing some antidepressants at him and saying, like, here, this will help you feel better, they said, okay, what's the root cause? Let's give you this cow. This will give you meat. This will give you milk. This will allow you to support your family, even though you've lost this limb and now you can no longer do hard labor. And so because of that, suddenly he was happy again. And the moral of the story is, I feel like there's so much focus on the depression itself or the sadness itself and the symptoms that often we overlook that, I mean, yes, there are chemical imbalances in the brain that do contribute to things, but a lot of the time, a big weight could be lifted off of us if we had community to rally around us, and if we also attacked the source of the issues. And the reason that I bring all this up is because the card that you were drawn to is the Phoenix card. And if you know anything about the Phoenix, it talks about this bird that has to die in order to be reborn. And right now I feel like you are just in the death state where you feel like you've been burned, you feel stuck, you feel tired, you feel upset, and it's time for you to be reborn. And in order to be reborn, what I see here is, first of all, I see two separate things here. I see that there's a lot of anxiety surrounding specifically like your work life. And I'll get more in detail on that, but I also see there's like a heartbreak when it comes to vulnerability and like romantic stuff. And so what I was trying to get at with the story is what you're going through right now is a symptom of this deeper dissatisfaction in just real life things that once those are dealt with, once those are fixed, you will have a significant burden lifted off of you. I feel like a lot of the time we kind of just tell ourselves when we're feeling down in this state, like, okay, just get up, just get this thing done, just focus on something else. But I think for you, specifically when it comes to like this heartbreak here, because I see that somebody betrayed you, somebody hurt you really badly, and I see there's a lot of anger and resentment and pain, not just at this other person or at this relationship, but also at yourself. And instead of facing it head on and allowing your heart to be opened up again, you're just kind of shutting down. And you're just telling yourself like, okay, let's just focus forward. We just need to move on. And I think in order for you to fully move on, you need to actually look back at the past and face whatever happened and work through it. Like, okay, I'm getting something coming to mind. I don't know if you've watched this show, but is The Legend of Korra. It was the spin-off to the Avatar, like the thing with the bending and the elements. And in the 4th season, the main character, Avatar Korra, was dealing with a lot of PTSD and a lot of pain, and she couldn't figure out why she wasn't able to do all the things that she used to do, why she was still hurting so much, and she was just trying to push past, she was just trying to forget, she was trying to move on, she was trying to work out, she was trying to travel, she was doing everything and avoiding her past, everything except facing it. And what it turned out was she actually still had poison left over in her body, like physical poison that because she ignored it, because she pushed past, she never took the time to check in with her body and see, oh, I'm still actually carrying so much of this poison in me. I need to get it out. And I feel like that's you. And I don't know the exact details of your situation, but you are carrying your version of poison in the form of anger. And I don't know what that healing process looks like for you, but the 3 of Swords reversed is about letting go. It's about healing. It's about deciding that it's time to take those swords out of your heart. You are still carrying poison in your body. And it's manifesting in anger. It's manifesting in pain. So, like I said, I don't know if this is a betrayal. I don't know if this is a romantic breakup, but it really does seem like there is some sort of relationship that when it ended, it took a piece of you with it. And you hit the ground running and you never looked back. And what you actually need to heal is to look back, is to look within, to heal. You need to face it head on because you're still carrying it within you. And I forgot to mention that this Phoenix card is supposed to symbolize you when you are at your highest vibration. And you at your highest vibration is not the version of you that just ignores this pain and keeps moving forward and is like looking in the mirror and being like, you're beautiful, you're happy, like just saying those empty words when you don't actually feel it. It's not just all that stuff that you see on Instagram. It's the version of you that faces, the version of you that has died, the version of you that is depressed and sad and miserable, facing that and deciding that you want to be reborn through that. And not ignoring it, not trying to push it away or repress it or trying to distract yourself. It's time for you to deal with the root cause of this pain. And something else that I see on this side of like relationships and vulnerability is something that will help you raise this vibration is not only learning to let go of this anger and learning to accept what has happened and accept how it's still a pain to you, if that makes sense. But it's learning to be vulnerable again. Because I feel like after this happened, you've closed yourself off to what future relationships might come your way. This is kind of like a personal anecdote, but I'm kind of anonymous online, so I might as well tell you about it. But recently with somebody very close to me, we had a very big argument. It was a painful few days, and even after everything subsided, I still felt like my body didn't fully want to let that person back in. And I feel like even though your brain feels like it's fine, it feels like it's healed, your body is still going to have a reaction of feeling like it has walls up, feeling like it can't quite let things in again. And I feel like that's you. And this Knight of Cups card is all about vulnerability. It's all about wearing your heart on your sleeve. It's all about being open to new things coming your way. And not just being open to vulnerability and new love and new relationships coming your way, but also being willing to tell other people how you feel. And with the Sweetness card, if you can't let go of this anger and this pain and learn to be vulnerable again, all these new connections, all these new love connections will pass you by. They won't fully be able to get to know you, fully be able to be with you, because a part of your heart is closed off. And I think specifically looking at this Three of Swords card, you see these literal swords going through this heart. When those swords are in the heart, there's not room for anything else. You need to take out those swords so that new love can come in. And this is just specifically the side having to do with relationships. Like, I haven't even gotten into like your career side of things. I feel like specifically there's all this pain surrounding vulnerability and relationships and trust and opening yourself up to love. That's a big piece that is stopping you from raising your vibration. It's keeping you at a low, because until you can fully look at these things and accept these things and move on from these things, there's a cap at like how high your vibration can go. I heard this interesting thing where it's like, when you're fully open to the maximum amount of love and happiness that you can feel, you're also fully open to the maximum amount of sadness and upset and negative feelings that you can feel. And if you're only half open to any emotion, you're only half open to the opposite of that emotion. And the scary part for you is, because you're so scared of feeling sadness, of feeling betrayal, of feeling hurt, that you're not able to fully open yourself to the maximum amount of love. And that is why you feel so numb. That is why everything just feels stale, why food doesn't taste the same, why you're not enjoying the same things, is because you're like, okay, I don't want to feel this pain, so therefore I'm not going to feel anything. And it's like, you have to take the swords out of your heart. You need to make space in your heart so that you can invite love back in. And I see that there's a big part of you that is just yearning for love, yearning for new connection, yearning for sweetness and happiness. But until you make room for it in your heart, until you finally remove those swords, you can't let it in. And I feel like that's why you got this Phoenix card, is the version of you who is at your highest vibration, is because this is taking a complete rebirth and renewal and a complete change of who you are, so that you can become the version of yourself that has a capacity for this love and this happiness. You need to completely burn down the old in order for the new to come through. And then on the more practical side of things, like I said, I think that this is like your career. I feel like, I'm not sure what you do for a living, but I get the sense that you're a very creative person, and what you are meant to do in life, what your path in life, it's intertwined with your purpose, which is also intertwined with inspiration. And when I look at this Knight of Pentacles, you see this guy that is heavily armored up. He's very slow moving, and this card is clarified by the Ideation card. You're being asked to kind of let some of that armor down and allow yourself to open your imagination. Not just to vulnerability, like I said, with romance and love, but opening up to inspiration, opening up to creativity. Even if there's fears that people might not like what you do, they might not like what you say, or whatever your form of art is, whatever it is that you like to create, the way that you're going about it right now, where a piece of it is sheltered, where you don't fully let people know, like I'll give you an example. So like in these tarot readings, when I first started, I didn't give any personal anecdotes. I didn't share anything about, my own personal life. Because I felt like that's not really what people want to hear. But I realized the thing that I love most about other tarot readers' way of reading is when they add in those little personal anecdotes, when it feels more connected, when it feels more authentic and real. And it's not going to please everybody. That's one thing about, whatever you decide to do in this world, you're not going to please everybody. But there is something that people love across the board, and it's authenticity. And I feel like you're being asked to kind of let those walls down and show like what you truly love to do. Really allow yourself to feel fully inspired and motivated, and when inspiration strikes, don't water it down. Don't make it palatable, because if you're pleasing everybody, nobody will love you, because everybody's different. There are going to be haters, but if there are haters, that means that there are going to be people that love it. And with the Empress and the Anxiety card, I get a sense that whatever it is that you're trying to do with your life, like I said, has to do with creativity. But there's this sense that things will take some time. And I get the sense that you're kind of like a control freak. Like you really like to know exactly how things are going to play out. You want to be in control of it all. But it's like, it's kind of like if you're trying to start a business where people buy things from you, there will be a period of time where you just need to wait for people to find it. And that's the worst part. Is like you can do all the advertising in the world, but you can't force your things to reach the right audience. You have to wait for the audience to find it. And I feel like there's just, with this Anxiety card, there's this huge sense of anxiety that you have just sitting and waiting for, whether it's like the audience to come or the buyers to come or for people to notice your work or notice what you do. And your work requires diligence. It requires hard work, of course, but it also requires periods where you're just sitting and waiting. And when you're in that period of sitting and waiting, the thing that will raise your vibration and make you better be able to accept it is having true faith that this is what you're meant to do. Having faith in not just your abilities, but having faith in that what you are putting out to the world is something that you love. And if it's something that you water down, if it's something that you're like, okay, if I just copy what everybody else has done around me, those people have been successful, so therefore this might be successful. That's what's not going to cut it. What people will actually love from you is what is uniquely your own. Like if you think about YouTube, and like everybody's different, but the reason that you decide to subscribe to somebody is because you like what they do. If there are 10 different people who are all doing the same thing, you're only really going to need to subscribe to one. But if every single person puts their unique twist on it, and you like how they each uniquely do that thing, then you're going to want to subscribe to all of them because they are different. And the best thing that you have about what it is that you do, whatever it is that you're producing, is the unique twist that nobody else has. So if you're constantly trying to imitate other people, you're trying to water it down to please everybody, you're trying to if somebody gives you oh, you should do it this way, and you're like, okay, I'll do it that way, you're not creating from your heart. You're creating from fear, and people can sense that. People can look at your work, and if they literally look at it and they're like, it doesn't have a good vibe, it's probably because you didn't have a good vibe when you created it. I think whatever it is that you're creating, whatever you're doing career-wise, it seems like it's very creative, and the most important thing for creating is making sure that it's something that you love first and foremost. Because like I said, not everybody's going to love it, but the second that you try to water things down and make it more palatable to others is the second that you lose the people that would have loved it the most. Trust me. And so this whole reading was supposed to be about how you raise your vibration, but I feel like it's really pointing out all the things that are hindering you at the moment, different things that are blocking your path. And it's you need to remove that door so you can move through the next one. And eventually that is when you've been able to do all these things, that is when you will reach your highest vibration, your highest potential. And I see first and foremost, there's a lot that you need to heal from. There are feelings of, going from relationships, there's feelings of a lack of vulnerability, a lack of allowing love in, a feeling of numbness because you're so afraid of feeling the hurt and the pain that you don't let yourself feel anything positive. And when you can't do that, obviously your personal life is out of whack. But then when we look at the version of you that's trying to go through life, that's trying to make something of yourself, that's trying to lean into your creativity and follow your passion, you can't water down your passion. You need to lean fully into it. You need to say, you know what? Not everybody's going to love this, but let me just do it the way that I love to do it. You imagine a photographer who's looking at all these other famous photographers and just studying them over and over again. And it's like, okay, I'm going to recreate it exactly like this. I'm going to do it exactly like this. And then it'll be successful because that person was successful. And they never reach success. They do it for years and years and years. And finally they're like, you know what? I'm tired of this. It's just going to be a hobby. I give up on this trying to be like my career. So they go back to it being a hobby. They do what they loved to begin with. They take photos of things that they want to take photos of. They create a composition that they want to create. And they're coming from a perspective of not even thinking about what will the viewer think of this. They're just thinking, wow, that looks beautiful. I want to capture that. And then they do it, and you know what? That ends up being the thing that people are drawn to because it's authentic, because it's real, and because it came from a place of love, and because it was created out of a high vibration. It wasn't like you just created it and you're like, oh, well, I really hope people like it. It's like, I think these separately are all things that need to be done before you can reach the height of your vibration. And when I look at the core of this reading, I see the Phoenix card, and it's like you're in this death period. You feel like you can't rise from these ashes. You feel like you're stuck at the bottom of this card in the darkness. But as you slowly move through these different things, learn to become more vulnerable, learn to lean into your creativity and your love, learn to lean into things that make you happy, leaning into your passions, being able to sit back and trust the universe instead of trying to control everything. Allowing yourself to open up to love again. Eventually, you'll look around, you won't even notice how much you've risen. Like, it is not something that you can force. It's not something that you stare at and you're like waiting for the meter to rise. It's something that you just commit to healing, commit to happiness, commit to love. And before you know it, you're going to look around and you'll be like, oh my God, it's so much brighter outside. I'm actually waking up and I'm excited for the day. I'm not just waiting until the clock ticks down to when I can go back home and lay in bed and scroll on TikTok. That's what it looks like. I feel like for you specifically, raising your vibration isn't about, like I said, looking at that vibration meter and being like, did it go up today? Did it go up today? It's about forgetting about everything except for loving yourself and enjoying life and figuring out, okay, today I've got to get up and I've got to get from A to B, but how can I do it in a way that was better than yesterday? And it's about committing to taking those little steps along the way. And I promise you, like I said, eventually you'll get to a point where you look around and you say, oh my God, I feel completely different than I used to. And that's when you'll know that your vibration has been raised. And I really do think that this for you is going to be a bit of a journey. It's going to take time, but no good thing comes overnight. And, specifically, I feel like it's going to be the same way with your career. I think you're destined to do beautiful things, and beautiful things will rise out of the ashes. But it requires your commitment to getting better, first and foremost, to finding love in your life again, to finding inspiration in your life again. So, pile 1, that's everything that I have for you. I know this was a really long reading. I really was not expecting to talk this long. But if you stuck with it this far, I really hope that it resonated. I hope that this helps you. And I truly believe that you will find the light in this darkness that you're going through. You will make it out. Right now, you're like at the bottom. And the good thing about being at the bottom is you can't go lower. That's me spitting over my shoulder, so I'm not trying to wish ill will on you. But I promise you, things will get better from here. But it requires commitment on your part. But that is everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. All right, pile 2. If you were drawn to the Angelite, I am getting just like the most nauseous, anxious energy from you. Like, do you have a lot of pressure on your life right now? Like, it feels like I wouldn't necessarily say the weight of the world on your shoulders, because it doesn't just feel like you need to make hard decisions. Like, it just feels like you have so much pressure and you're not happy with where your life is right now. It's giving the idea of somebody who's gotten to the top of the corporate world and they're wearing their big suit and tie and they've got the fancy office at the top of the building and they're just so unhappy. And it's like they never wanted to do this. Like, yeah, they succeeded, but they just wanted to travel. They just wanted to like I'm picturing, I'll tell you exactly what I'm picturing. So I'm picturing somebody, I'm picturing a guy who's, like I said, at the top of the office building with the beautiful view and the beautiful office and everything's sleek. And he's wearing this suit. But the suit is so big. It reminds me of like, you know when Kanye did that music video a long time ago? Not a long time ago. It was like 5 years ago. And it's like, you're such a hoe. I love it. You know? And like in the music video, he's wearing like this really big, blocky outfit. Like it's giving like I'm picturing this guy who's wearing this giant suit. And I think the reason I'm picturing it like that is because I feel like everything in your life doesn't feel right. Even the clothes that you wear, even if they're tailored to you, it feels like, not imposter syndrome, because you've definitely earned your way to the top, but it just feels like this is not where I wanted my life to be. It's like you feel like I should be living a different life. Like this is not how I wanted things to go. And from the outside, I feel like there's people that look at you and they're like, yeah, but you have all these things, like people work so hard to get to this point. And you're like, but I never wanted any of it. I wanted to go be, doing van life and just traveling from city to city, traveling from national park to national park and just sitting out in front of views and playing my guitar and, enjoying life, enjoying the world. And I feel like I've wasted my life doing these things that don't make me happy. Like that's what I'm getting from you. And I feel like you're sitting atop this throne and you've gotten all this money, you've got the house, you've got the success. Everybody in your family's proud of you, and you're terrified. You're terrified because you're like, is this all that life is? I feel like you go home at the end of the day and you just feel empty. I feel like you hate the city that you live in. You hate the life that you've created. It's just not what you wanted to do. And I want to tell you right here, right now, you don't have to live this way. And I know it's like easier said than done, but like, this is what I say sometimes in readings. Sometimes we forget we have free will because we're so terrified of the consequences that we tell ourselves we have no other choice. And this is what I say, like, we have free will to the point that if I wanted to, I could jump out my window, I could run to the neighbor's house, and I could light it on fire. I could do that. I don't want to, because I don't want to take the consequences of going to jail and being called a psycho and, being disowned by my family and being in the news and all that and giving up my freedom. I don't want to do that. I don't want to take the consequences, but I could. You could choose to quit your job, to sell your house or move out of your apartment. You could sell all your belongings. You could buy that van and you could just travel. You could. You are the one stopping yourself. You are the one stopping yourself from chasing your dreams. And I feel like you have dreams and you've gotten to this point where you're so unhappy with where you are in life that you feel like those dreams are unattainable. And you have so many people around you telling yourself, like, you should be proud, you should be happy, look at all this success that you've created, that you're like, yeah, shouldn't I be happy? Maybe I should just stick it out. Maybe just spend another year, another 5 years, another 10 years, and eventually I'll be happy here. And I want to tell you, your heart, your soul, and your body are in the wrong place. That's why you don't feel right. That's why it doesn't feel good, is because you're not following your heart. You're following what people told you you should follow. You're following what, maybe you were really naturally talented at like finance or something, and so you became an accountant. And it's like everybody around you is like, yeah, you're living the dream. You're doing everything that everybody around you wants to do, but it's not what you wanted to do. You never asked yourself, what do you care about? What do you want to do? You lived under these expectations and this judgment, and you told yourself, like, okay, I'm just going to do this, and, if it makes other people happy, it'll make me happy. And I see how afraid and how tired you are. Because you're living this King of Pentacles life, and you are meant to be a King of Wands. And if you don't know anything about tarot, the King of Pentacles is the king of material wealth. He is the king of stability and, financial stability, but the King of Wands is the king of passion. He's the king of freedom. He's the king of following what he loves. And when you look at these two cards, you see this King of Pentacles, he's so weighed down by this abundance that he can't really move as freely. But when you look at this King of Wands, he's actually like halfway ready to get out of his chair. Like he's just ready to move. He wants to move. He's a busybody, and you've put yourself in this life of like a turtle who is just chained to a routine, chained to a city, chained to a mortgage, chained to bills to pay. And it's like all you want is to just get up and run and be free and feel the wind in your hair. I think you were built to be a nomad. You were built to be somebody that explores, to be somebody that travels, to be somebody that, I don't know, I live in a place where there's a lot of people that are like hippies and just like walk around barefoot. And I feel like you are meant to be one of those people. Like no shade, but like they are living their best life. They are those kinds of people that are doing the van life. Like I see so many cars parked along the highway on the ocean, just like, and they're living out of their vans and they're loving life. Like they followed their dreams. And you know what? Somebody's actually coming to mind right now. There's this woman who goes by the tag Itchy Boots on YouTube and TikTok and stuff. It's this white woman who's like in her 30s, and she sold her house and all her belongings, and she just has a motorcycle, and she has literally traveled the world on that motorcycle. And it's so impressive. I literally was like watching with like a jaw drop. Like, what do you mean you traveled all the way across Asia and Africa on a motorcycle? You watch these videos and it's crazy. She's going through rain and mud, and like it gets dark outside, so she just goes to a random village and asks the elders like, hey, can I stay here for the night? And like she has these amazing adventures. And I look at that and I'm like, as a woman, that's terrifying. Like I could not imagine being alone in Los Angeles, let alone being alone like halfway across the world where you know nobody, barely speak the language. But she did it. She sold all of her belongings and she does this now. And honestly makes way more money off YouTube than she probably ever did in what she used to do. And she loves it. And it's not like she just wanted to do it once and like it'd be over. It's like she just wants to keep traveling. And it's amazing. Like, I think the last video that I watched, she had crossed from, like, Mexico, and her bike was, like, breaking down, so she got it fixed in San Diego, and then she just went up to Alaska. And I'm like, that's amazing. And as a woman, I would say, like, no, it's too dangerous, it's impossible. That's just me not wanting to take the consequences of possible danger, of feeling vulnerable, of being scared of breaking down somewhere. But she took on those fears, she took on those consequences, and she did it. And you know why? Because she has free will. And you have free will. And I feel like that is the biggest thing. You know, it's not that you can't raise your vibration because of X, Y, and Z reason. It's because you're not in the right area. You're not living the life that you're meant to. And because of that, it's like a fish trying to fit in with zebras. It's not going to work. And so there's that's the biggest thing that I'm seeing here is like you are just flat out, you're in the wrong environment. You're doing the wrong thing with your life. Your heart, your mind, your body, your soul is meant to be free. It's meant to roam. And there is this desire within you. The King of Wands is all about desire and passion and following it. That's why he's about to hop up out of his chair, is because he is always on the lookout of what desire do I follow next? What passion do I follow next? And that card for you is clarified by surrender. You have these feelings within you, and you're not surrendering to them. You're not allowing yourself to look at them and say, yes, okay, let's do it. It's like you have this little version of you inside you that's like, please, please, can we do this? Please, like, let's go camping, let's go hiking, let's go explore. And you just keep shutting it down. You keep shutting it down. You need to follow your heart. You need to surrender to what your heart wants, because if you don't, eventually you will get to the point where your heart will no longer speak to you. It will get to the point where you are so numb that you can't hear it anymore. And that's when you'll know that your life is over. Because your heart has called to you for so long and begged you for so long, please follow me, listen to me, allow yourself to be happy. It will get to the point that your heart is so tired of being rejected that you will never hear from it again. You will never feel that desire because you've repressed it so much. And then you will get to the end of your life and think, what did I do with my life? Yes, I have all this money, I've got these accolades, maybe I married the right person, I've got the house, and I sent my kids off to college, but this is not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in a hut in the woods making, like, spells. Like, You need to follow your heart. It's our one obligation in our life. I truly believe that. And when you go against it, no wonder that you feel like a fish in a herd of zebra. Like you're not in the right place. You're not where you're meant to be. And I'll give you something practical to do, because like I'm just throwing all this stuff at you, but here is like some practical advice that I can give to you. So you have the 10 of Swords reversed and the Illumination card. I first and foremost would highly recommend that you speak to like a therapist or a life counselor or something, because the 10 of Swords, you see this guy who's literally face down on the ground with all these different swords going through him. And with it reversed, it's time for you to let go of those swords. And each of those swords is like a different trauma, a different pain, a different repressed feeling. All these things that are contributing to you feeling like you don't have autonomy, a feeling like you don't have control over your life. And the Illumination card is all about bringing light to these things. So I highly encourage you, if you don't go to therapy, if you don't do any of that, speak to somebody that you know won't judge you. Or if you don't want to speak to somebody, I highly encourage you to look up shadow work prompts, because I feel like there's a lot within you that needs to be addressed. And once you bring light to it, once you work through it, you will slowly begin to pull those swords out of you. You will slowly begin to unlearn these things that are inside your head telling you can't. These parts of you that keep you down. I get the sense that you're somebody that does not have a strong sense of empowerment. And it's like, how can you build a strong sense of empowerment if you've got 10 swords pinning you to the floor? You need to light them up before you pull them out. And after you can pull them out, only then can you stand up for yourself and stand up for what you love. With this B card, the B is the version of you that you are when you're at your highest vibration. And when I think of Bs, like, they're very hard workers and they work really well together. Like, I think that's why you were able to accomplish so much in, like, corporate world or whatever it is that you do. No wonder you were able to be very successful. It's like, you're a great worker. But if you're in the wrong hive, you're vibrating at a different frequency from that hive. Like, I think you are meant to put those same skills just in a different hive, a different area. I don't know if that makes sense, but when I'm looking at this B card, I'm almost imagining like this wind that is trying to drift you off to a different place, but for some reason you're clinging to this hive of, like, it's like you're hanging out with wasps. And no wonder you're not happy. They're not making the right honey. I don't even think wasps make honey. And you're trying to fit in where you're not meant to be, and the wind is trying to pull you to the right hive. And you need to let it pull you. And once you're at the right hive, I swear to God, you will feel so much better. You'll be vibrating at the right frequency, and suddenly you'll be like, why didn't I do this earlier? Why didn't I do this earlier? And finally, with the Page of Cups and the Mystery card, I feel like your soul wants to be young, it wants to be free, and it wants to experience mystery. I feel like specifically it's not just that you want to travel to, like, see different sights and scenery. It's like you want to travel to learn about other cultures, to experience things that you've never experienced, to encounter things that you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know that existed. That's so cool. Like, I think within you, there is this inner child that is just wanted to be an explorer, wanted to explore and just learn new things, that is constantly like, oh, and why does that work the way that it doesn't? And why is this the way that it is? And I feel like you can learn so many new things by traveling, by talking to others. I think within you, there is actually somebody that wants to be extroverted, but it's like, why would you want to be extroverted in corporate America when, like, it's just the most boring talk ever and about stuff that you don't really care about? But it's like, once you're around the right people that have the same values as you, or people that are completely different from you, no wonder you'd want to be extroverted then, because it's like, oh, and how do you do it like this? And oh, you do things like that where you're from? That's so interesting. I'd love to go there and explore. And I feel like your soul wants mystery and excitement and exploration. And it's all stemming back to this version of you that just wants to be excited about life, that just wants to flit around like a butterfly and, like, explore and have a good time. And I feel like that's how I'm gonna be so honest, like, I wanted to do this reading because I'm like, okay, like, how to raise your vibration. That's like, okay, how you be happy. Like, let's pick up some good habits. I was not expecting, like, these really deep talks, but I don't know, so far for pile 1, pile 2, it seems like there's just something about where you are itself that is hindering any capacity that you have for living a happier life. Like, you just need to pick yourself up and move to a completely different hive. And that is what's stopping you from raising your vibration. It's not just as simple as a mindset, and it's also not just simple as an environment. It's about a whole decision to change your life and stop listening to fear and why you should stay in this place and why we should stay comfortable. You are meant for something greater. You are meant to be a nomad. Like, I seriously get the vibe that you are somebody that is meant to explore and travel, and I highly encourage you, look up Itchy Boots on YouTube. Even if that's not necessarily what you want to do, like the traveling the way that she does, it's so inspiring because it's like, how are you doing this? This is so dangerous. Like, I feel like me, even with like 6 other people riding alongside me, I would still be scared. But like, she really did that. Like, let that be an inspiration to you, that I'm sure like whatever you want to do is not nearly as dangerous as that. But yeah. Anyways, I feel like I've been rambling for so long, so pile 2, that's where I'll leave you. I really hope that this inspired you to make a change and to follow your heart. I think that if you can do that, the version of yourself at your highest vibration is somebody you wouldn't even recognize. And I feel like you've gotten to such a low point that you're like, I could never be like that. And I want you to know, you can be way, way more than you would ever, ever believe. So follow your heart. But thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. All right, pile 3, last but certainly not least. If you chose the blue Dumortierite and the starfish card, then this is the reading for you. And I want to just say, I filmed your entire reading, like talked for so long, and I was at the end doing the outro, and all of a sudden the camera just like corrupted and lost the whole thing. And I'm somebody that, like, that really frustrates me, right? But I truly believe that if it's not meant to go out, it won't go out. And it's very rare that my camera corrupts, but when it does, I can just feel that there's something off about the reading. And it's so frustrating that it had to happen at the end, but if it's not meant to be, it won't be again. So I'm just gonna try again, and coming from a place of just like intuitive knowing, like, what am I supposed to say to you? And hopefully it will be the proper way of saying things, 'cause, maybe I didn't say it properly. But for you, the starfish card that you chose is the card that is you when you are at your highest vibration. And the words that came to mind when I saw this card is the version of you that is comfortable in your own skin. And with pile 1 and pile 2, it was all about, their environment wasn't right, their circumstances weren't right, and because of this, it was hindering them. They couldn't reach their highest vibration. They couldn't really make their life more positive. But for you, it has to do with what's within you. It has to do with these feelings of a lack of balance, a lack of confidence, a lack of self-empowerment. It's all within you. All of those things that need to be resolved. And once they're resolved, once they're healed, once they're worked through, then you will have that higher capacity for raising your vibration. And that is the version of you that is comfortable and happy in your own skin. And I think because of all these things that are not healed, because of all these things that are not worked through, that's why you don't really feel comfortable in your own skin. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you were the kind of person that every time that you talked, you kind of trail off your sentence with like, but I don't know, or, but it's up to you. Like, there's just this feeling of insecurity, of not trusting yourself, not trusting your own abilities, not trusting what you know. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of people that make decisions for you, or you're constantly asking for other people's opinion. Like, if you are a creative person and you're really into, like, I don't know, let's say making videos, for instance. I feel like you would finish that video and you'd send it to somebody and you'd be like, okay, what do you think? Do you think I should make changes? And the truth is, everybody is going to have a different opinion, but the only one that matters is your own. And if it's something that you love, that's all that matters. But I feel like since you have such a lack of trust in yourself, a lack of trust in your abilities, no wonder you're outsourcing all these opinions to other people. That's why I feel like you would always trail off and be like, but I don't know. Like, I feel like if I talked to you and I asked you for your opinion of something, you would kind of be like, but what do you think? And it's like, no, I wanted to hear what you think. And it's because of this lack of comfortability that you're always trying to crawl out of these situations. You're always trying to crawl out of the spotlight being on you. You're always trying to crawl out of you being the center of your voice being important. And I want you to know your voice is extremely important. And what I see here, starting off at the beginning, you have the Justice card reversed and the Consciousness card. And the Justice card reversed is all about imbalance, a lack of balance. And consciousness being your brain, I feel like there's a lack of balance in your mind. Like, I actually picture a hurricane being around you. And it's like, if you try to work through things, if you try to get things done, or if you're going through something and you're trying to heal yourself, how can you do it when you're at the center of that pain, when you're at the center of that hurricane? I think something that would really help you is having a third perspective, having somebody who is unbiased, having somebody that won't judge you, that can reach out a hand from outside the hurricane and pull you out. Somebody that can help you when you're drowning, because when you're drowning, you're so focused on on trying to keep everything together, on not slipping under the water, that like, how can you get anything done if you're just trying to do it yourself? You need to be able to get help from others, and I feel like that's an extremely hard thing for you to do, because I think you feel like you don't deserve it. I feel like you think that you don't deserve to reach out. I feel like you don't deserve to be helped, and I want you to know you do. Like, imagine saying that to the younger version of yourself, like, you don't deserve to heal. You don't deserve good things. You don't deserve to be loved. Imagine telling that to your child. Imagine if you had a baby and you looked at that baby and you were like, you don't deserve to feel good. You would never do that, because you are a kind-hearted soul. So why would you say that to yourself? Please don't say things like that to yourself. You deserve to feel balanced. You deserve to be healed. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to go about life feeling positive and allowing yourself to follow what you love and do the things that you love. And you deserve to stand in your confidence. Stand confidently in the things that you stand confidence. Oh my God, I can't speak. You deserve to stand confidently in the things that you say and the things that you do, and not constantly feel like you need to look to others for reassurance. Because the truth is, not everybody has the answer. You might look to somebody and ask for their opinion, and then they have like the dumbest opinion in the world. And it's like, why would you follow that? You know, everybody is human. Everybody has their own problems. But if you feel like everybody else around you has the better opinion, I mean, it's not true. You deserve to have your own opinion. And the great thing about opinions is they're just opinions. They're not facts. There are going to be people that think that they're wrong, and there's going to be people that think they're right. And you can't please everybody. But what you can do is please yourself. And that is the most important thing. And I think something really interesting here is you got the Death card reversed, clarified by the Death card. You have 2 Death cards. And if you don't know about tarot, the Death card is not scary. It's about change leading to rebirth, leading to renewal. With it being reversed, and then there's another one on top of that, I feel like you have been living this way, in this mindset, in this unhappiness, in this pain, in this lack of self-empowerment for your entire life. And the reason that it hasn't changed, even though it needs to change, even though I feel like a piece of you has been wanting to change, been wanting to heal, a piece of you that doesn't enjoy feeling like this, doesn't enjoy feeling uncomfortable in your own skin, it hasn't been able to change because you've been trying to do it on your own. And there's this thing that I've been watching this show on YouTube. It's called the John Deloney Show. It's really interesting. He has these people call in about their problems, and he kind of counsels them and gives them advice. It's really interesting. But yesterday I was listening to these different stories about people dealing with an insurmountable amount of grief. And the thing that he tells all these people in this grieving process is they need to have others to help them. You cannot grieve somebody and grieve the past version of your life and take care of yourself and take care of others on your own. But it's so hard for people to let go of their ego and just look at somebody and say, I need help. I'm drowning. I can't help myself. It's terrifying to say something like that, because what if the person isn't willing to help you, or what if they judge you? But the truth is they won't. The truth is I think people have noticed that you've been drowning for a long time. And I think there's been people that have been wanting to help, but just have been waiting for the moment that you reach out and say that you need it. Or maybe there's some people that haven't even noticed, but if you told them They would feel so ashamed that they didn't see it earlier. They would feel so heartbroken that they couldn't have helped you earlier. And I think it is extremely important that you get the strength to ask for help, because you cannot heal this on your own. You can't keep it all together and move through life and also try to be successful and also try to love other people if you're also hurting on the inside. You need to be able to lean on someone else. You can't do it all on your own. I know, we as humans, we really try. And me specifically, like, I really pride myself on being able to help myself through things, being able to, like, when I'm really going through it, I can help myself. But there come times when you just need to lean on someone else. And I think also something that might really help you. And I know not everybody has insurance, not everybody has a ton of money. Maybe you don't have the resources to be able to do this. But if you do, I highly recommend that you look into getting a therapist. And I'll tell you, me specifically, when I was driving home from work yesterday, I was thinking to myself, like, I think I'm finally at a point in my life where I'm feeling very good and very comfortable. And I want to look for a therapist, not because I feel like I'm in an emergency, but because I've just been waiting to find, the right one that I can just, like, build a relationship with and talk to on a regular basis, rather than just going to one that I barely know and it's like, here's this huge issue, like, let me dump this on you. Because I've done that before, and all those therapists in the past haven't really worked out. But I bring this up to say that when I was in the car and I had that kind of realization that, I think it's time that I look for the one, basically, I decided to kind of speak aloud to the universe. What are the different things that I'd want in that therapist? Kind of like manifestation. So I encourage you, maybe write down, if this is something that you're interested in manifesting, what kinds of characteristics you'd want in that person. How would you want them to communicate? What would their communication style be? Would they be male or female? Would they be, in person, or would they be online? Would you want somebody who's just very professional, who comes at it more from, like, a psychologist perspective, or maybe somebody that comes from a friend perspective? Do you want somebody that you can really just rant to? Or do you want somebody that has a dialogue with you? Or do you want somebody that kind of runs the conversation, helps steer you in the right direction? Really figure out exactly who would be the perfect confidant for you. Write all that down and then give it up to the universe and say, this is what I'm trying to manifest. This is who I think I would want to be the kind of person that I'd allow to help me through this. Because it's really hard to do that, to reach out to help for people that we know, because maybe it's hard to be vulnerable. Maybe we don't want to be judged, or maybe we think, like, those people just aren't very emotionally intelligent, or maybe we don't know if we can trust those people enough with these kinds of things going on within us. And that's the great thing about a therapist is, there is that trust that, they're not allowed to tell other people unless you're going to hurt yourself or others. And it's somebody that is quite literally trained to help you with what you're going through. So it's not going to be a burden to them. Like, this is what they do for a living. And so you don't need to feel shame in reaching out to these people. At the very least, like, if you're like, oh, but I feel shame reaching out to somebody like this, they get money out of it. Like, you don't need to feel shame. Like, they are getting something out of this at the very least. So I bring all that up to say, I think what you're going through is very difficult, and do not downplay it. This is something that you are quite literally in the middle of a hurricane, and you need somebody else there to help you come out. You can't help yourself out when you're also dealing with all of these other things. And there's no shame in asking for help. And I think that's why it's a really great idea to try to manifest the right one, because over the years, I have tried looking for ones, and I have just gotten the craziest of the bunch. Like, I've never gotten a really good therapist before, which is, like, disappointing, and it's such hard work trying to find the right one. But I think that's why I want to come at it from this perspective of, let me write down all this criteria of what I want, put it out to the universe, and, like, universe, let the right one come through. And if there are others that are not meant for me, let the schedule not align, let things not work out, let it not be the one that comes into my life, because that's where I am at this point, and I highly encourage you to do the same. But next we have the Six of Wands reversed and the Intuition card. The Six of Wands reversed is a lack of confidence, and the Intuition card to me is like a lack of confidence in yourself, a lack of confidence in your abilities, a lack of trust in yourself. That's why I said at the beginning, like, I wouldn't be surprised if when you talk to somebody, especially about yourself, you kind of always trail off and you're like, but I don't know, or but what's your opinion? Like, you're always trying to shift it to somebody else because you hate the idea of being vulnerable, of people seeing your insecurity, and inadvertently it comes out in the way that you talk and the way that you hold yourself. I wouldn't be surprised if you're somebody that's constantly slouching. Or something that a therapist pointed out to me once is, when I would talk about myself, I always had my arms crossed and my legs crossed. And that's a clear sign of like trying to protect yourself. It's a clear sign of like closing in on yourself, of not being able to be vulnerable, of not being able to be open. And these little things were pointed out, and I had no idea that I did them. I had no idea that my outward appearance and the way that I spoke showed so clearly like what I thought of myself and how I held myself. And I wouldn't be surprised if you have the same things going on. And it's all pointing to this belief in yourself that you just have this lack of confidence, this lack of trust, this lack of trust in your abilities. And not only is that going to make you not feel great, but it's also going to hinder you if you try to follow what you love. If you try to, I don't know, in any aspect of life, if you try to work well in a career, but that you're constantly asking others for like, oh, what would you do? Like, there was this really interesting thing that my mom was telling me about in her career, because she was interviewing new people at her job. And one of the interview questions was, for these people who were going to be leaders, what would you do in this leadership position? And the people that didn't answer it right were the people that were like, well, I would ask the person above me for their opinion. If you are going to be a leader, or if you're going to be successful in general, you need to be able to make decisions on your own. You need to be able to trust your own judgment. And the people that she was most impressed by were the ones that weren't like, oh, well, I'm going to go ask the person above me. It was the person that was like, well, I would do this, I would take this action, and I would resolve it this way. Just point blank. And they were so confident in their own skin that they were the one that succeeded and got the job. And I don't say this to scare you and say you're not going to be successful, because I absolutely think you can still be successful at something even if you aren't confident. But something that is going to get you a lot further, and something that is going to have you a lot more respected, and something that is going to make people really listen to your voice, is when you can stand, feet squared, arms uncrossed, and say confidently, this is what I think, period. No, I don't know at the end. No, but what do you think? No, just point blank, that's my opinion. Boom. And it doesn't mean that you have to be rude and not listen to other people's opinions, but to have enough confidence to stand in your own, that even if somebody has a different opinion, you can look at that and you can say, okay, well, I respect that you have your own beliefs, but I still have my own beliefs, and I'm not going to let your opinion overshadow mine. It's just about not just respect for others, but respect for yourself. And I feel like there's a big lack of respect for yourself. And finally, you have the Seven of Wands reversed, clarified by the Confidence card. And the Seven of Wands reversed, to me, I'm imagining this person that's trying to fight off, you can literally see it in the card. It's this guy who's trying to fight off all these different sticks that are rising up and they're overwhelming him. And it's you. It's you trying to fight off all these feelings, all these anxieties, all this pressure, all this... and it's like, how can you do that without... First of all, how can you do that if you don't trust yourself or trust your abilities? But also, how can you do any of that alone? This person only has 2 hands, and they're trying to fight off 7 wands. It's you trying to fight off all of these inner battles, and you can't do it on your own. You can try, but it's going to overwhelm you. And it's so much easier if you can do it with somebody else. I feel like when you can fully tackle these things, you will come out of it being so much more confident, feeling so much more respect for yourself, so much more love for yourself, feeling finally confident and comfortable in your own skin that you can hold your head high. But I also think that this is something that you can try to do it on your own, but it's so much easier if you can reach out and ask for help. And I think that's why I highly recommend you try to look into getting the right therapist or manifesting the right therapist. I know it's a very long and arduous job of trying to find the right one, and it can be exhausting when you meet them and it's not the right one. But this healing doesn't need to happen overnight. Yeah, it'd be nice, but the truth is it's going to take time. And maybe you do find the one that you think is right, and then you realize it's not actually the right one. So you have to quit and you have to restart all over again. But that's okay. It's going to be a process. It's going to take time, but you are worth healing. you are worth trying for. And if you ever feel like it's not worth it, I want you to imagine that you are your child. Imagine your child outside your body, this baby or this kid, and you're looking at them and you're like, well, we tried, I'm not going to keep trying for you. Or, you know what, we tried to heal you, but it's just too much work for me, so I'm going to give up on you. You wouldn't do that to a kid. You wouldn't do that to your kid. You wouldn't do that to somebody that you love. So why give up on yourself? And I know it's easier said than done, but you are worth it. And I really, really want to see you succeed. You deserve to be comfortable in your own skin. You deserve to be proud of yourself. You deserve to be confident. But it requires being able to reach out, first and foremost. And it requires you deciding that you are going to help yourself. So, pile 3, that is everything that I have for you. I really encourage you on this journey. I know it's not an easy one, but I know that, like I said, as long as you make this decision that you are going to try, and if you can reach out to somebody for help, it's going to make it so much easier to stand on your own 2 feet and get through this. Nobody deserves to live this way their entire life. To live this way constantly second guessing, constantly not feeling proud of themselves, constantly feeling down. You deserve to be confident and happy and stand in your own skin. And when you can do that, that's when your vibration will be its highest. But it all starts with you and the decisions that you make. So, pile 3, that is everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.